Hey, what's up guys? It's that time again. Let's finish off this Blanka breakdown. In this video, we're going to be discussing his V system. So if you guys missed out on the first part, we go over his entire move list as well as his normal attacks. The link is in the video description below. So let's get started. Let's begin by talking about Blanka's V reversal. So to do his V reversal, it's forward and 3 punches. And this is a knockdown type V reversal. And the distance looks okay, but it's not amazing. As you can see, it still can whiff, but it's definitely not one of the worst V reversals I've seen so far. Alright, moving on to Blanka's V skill. This is classic Coward Crouch, one of his old specials. So this will make Blanka duck in place and you'll go really low to the ground, similar to Fang. And this will also dodge high attacks or even projectiles. So you can hold down V skill to basically crouch for a longer period of time if you want to, and although you can't move, you are able to cancel out of this using your forward or back jungle hop. You also have 2 main follow-ups using the punch or kick button. If you press the punch button during his Coward Crouch, this follow-up makes Blanka do an upward swipe, which kind of similar to Blanka's old far hard punch, and this basically puts the opponent up into the air into a juggle state, allowing you to combo afterwards either with normal attacks or special attacks. And obviously it'll give you V gauge when you land this swipe. Now the kick follow-up allows Blanka to basically jump forward from the Coward Crouch, and he's much lower and goes further than his regular jump. You can also attack with any button as if you were jumping in the first place afterwards. So this also gives you V gauge when you land your jumping attacks from his V skill, so that's really good too. So overall, I would say that Blanka's V skill looks practical and useful for both gaining V gauge and giving him additional mobility options. Now let's talk about the V triggers. Let's start with V trigger 1. There's a lot to talk about. So Blanka's V trigger 1 is a 3-bar V trigger. In fact, both of them are 3-bar V triggers. So this amplifies all Blanka's specials, including all 3 versions of his Blanka balls, as well as his electricity. So it doesn't buff his command grab. You can no longer use the EX version of these moves or different strengths while this is active, but they're stronger anyway, so it doesn't really matter. On top of this, you don't have to spend the EX meter. They spend V gauge instead. So let's start with what it does to electricity. Using electricity now in V trigger 1 makes Blanka step forward and it allows a juggle follow-up on hit like the EX version does. The step forward that Blanka does though is puts him in a better position since he's closer with the step, of course, and I would assume you're also still plus on block, making his pressure scary. This also juggles high enough to land super. Alright, now what this does to the forward Blanka ball is it puts the opponent into a juggle state on hit like the EX version does. However, it also gains the extra benefit of being projectile invincible now, unlike the EX version, which isn't, which is really crazy because Blanka already has a ton of anti-zoning options. Now the up version of the Blanka ball is still invincible during V trigger, of course without the cost of EX meter, but instead you're using V gauge. For most of your combos in V trigger 1, this will be your Ender special that you'll be doing if you're not going into Super, of course. And the Rainbow Blanka balls now, the ones that step back and go forward in an arc, these can now cross up the opponent in V trigger 1, unlike the EX versions once again, and still put the opponent into a juggle state on hit. And it's not super risky since they're still very plus on block. We even saw up to +7 on block, which is ludicrous. So to summarize, these powered up specials basically give Blanka the ability to freely juggle and thus combo between all of them for bursty combos while still saving the meter to end in super. Blanka also drains about 35% V gauge for each special, allowing you to use 3 powered up specials before the V trigger goes away. Now on top of all of this, you also gain an additional special attack called Ground Shave Rolling. So this was Blanka's old super from before. You can do this by pressing hard punch and hard kick at the same time after you activate, and this makes Blanka do a roll on the spot, and you can charge this by holding down hard punch and hard kick, and releasing it will make Blanka roll forward along the ground. So when fully charged, this causes a guard crush, allowing more pressure options. This also seems to have a pretty good active hitbox while charging, but we're going to have to test that out when he comes out. And this new special also drains 35% V gauge, the same as a single special, powered up one. If you use this after a knockdown and try to set something up, like some kind of ambiguous cross-up, it doesn't seem like it crosses up, so don't worry guys. You can also easily combo into this and super cancel on the last hit, or simply just cancel this into a special and then into super for even more damage. So at a glance, I would say V trigger 1 is a more solid choice than V trigger 2, and this basically amplifies everything about Blanka, including his pressure, his damage, and his anti-zoning options. Alright, let's talk about Blanka's V-Trigger 2 now, and once again this is a 3-bar V-Trigger. So this gives you access to a new move called Rolling Cannon. So Rolling Cannon can only be done after any type of Blanka ball special, whether being on hit or even on block. So the forward, upwards version, or the rainbow ball version. So this is done by pressing hard punch and hard kick at the same time in any 8-way direction. You can cancel into Rolling Cannon up to 3 times before you touch the ground. Naturally, you can do this in the air, and after each hit, it juggles the opponent to allow some, crazy pinball action combos that just go really high up on the screen. The first Rolling Cannon drains about 30% of your V gauge, and then the follow-up cannons drain about 10% more each. So you can get about at least 2 giant combos with this per activation. So you can also mix in your EX Blanka Ball specials mid-combo to refresh the Rolling Cannon counter since you are touching the ground again, allowing for much longer combos and thus a lot more damage. Also, since you can freely point the Rolling Cannon in any direction you want, you can also use this to just maneuver around the screen freely to make it very tricky for your opponent to anticipate where you're going, especially since it's an attack in itself. Rolling Cannon also seems to cross up the opponent, making this a deadly mix-up tool as well, as we've seen in the trailer. So on top of all of this, you can also buff up your Invincible Reversal, your EX Up Ball, too, by allowing a follow-up into Rolling Cannon after it hits, raising the damage, or you can even make it safe on block. If they block your EX Up Ball, then you can just Rolling Cannon out to make yourself safe. Ridiculous. With that being said though, Rolling Cannon was something like -2 on block, so you can get away with more pressure in general if the opponent is not paying attention, especially online. So in summary, V-Trigger 2 is very unique. Use this if you prefer insane mobility and pressure with little consequence, since your moves are now safe using Rolling Cannon. Finally, let's talk about Blanka's critical art. The motion for this is double quarter circle forward and punch. It is not a charge motion super. So this is a forward moving slash attack, which goes into a canned animation if the slash hits. On whiff, it does 2 swipes total, and sometimes the second swipe doesn't go into animation. So this also goes through projectiles naturally and can be used as an anti-air as well. You also remain pretty close to your opponent afterwards at +5. So that's a wrap, guys. That's everything we know about Blanka so far. Hopefully this will give you guys a great head start when he finally releases on Tuesday. So do me a solid, guys, please subscribe to the channel, as of course I'll have a lot more guides coming out in the future, and like the video, it helps as well. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to watch this video, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.